All right, let's talk about something that's absolutely critical in the cannabis industry: workplace hygiene. And listen, this isn't just about looking tidy. It's about protecting everything: the product, the people who use it, and honestly, the business itself.
So let's kick things off with a big question. I mean, think about it. In this industry, you've got so many things to worry about, right? Cultivation, compliance, all of it. But what's the one thing that poses the biggest risk to that finished product?
You might be thinking it's something huge, like a supply chain disaster or a market crash. Nope, the answer is way smaller. In fact, it's microscopic. The single biggest threat is contamination, that unseen enemy. And the crazy part, it usually comes from the very people who were supposed to be protecting the product.
Okay, so for this first part, we're gonna break down exactly what this threat looks like. We'll get into why the stakes are just so incredibly high, because these standards, they're not just a bunch of random rules somebody made up. They're a shield for everyone.
You know, just one tiny slip up in hygiene can set off this devastating chain reaction. We're talking about massive product recalls, failing those super expensive lab tests, and in the absolute worst case scenario, making customers sick and getting hit with huge regulatory penalties. The cost of one mistake, it's just massive.
So where is all this bad stuff coming from? It's not some mystery invader from outer space. It comes directly from us. Yeah, we're talking about microbes from our hands, allergens jumping from one thing to another, little fibers from our clothes, even the smell of our perfume or smoke. We're the main carriers. So if we're the problem, or at least the main source of the problem, it makes sense that our most important tool is right here: our hands. Seriously, mastering hand hygiene is your first and honestly, your most powerful line of defense. And the source material we're looking at here, it doesn't pull any punches on this, and for good reason. It's just the absolute unshakable foundation of keeping the product safe. Period. There are no shortcuts, no exceptions, none. And let's be clear, this isn't about just washing your hands when they look dirty. These moments right here, they're non-negotiable, mandatory, every single time. You touch your phone, you take a break, you sneeze, bam, that's a contamination event. And you have to hit the reset button by washing your hands before you touch that product again.
And you know what? How long you wash for is everything. A quick little rinse, it does absolutely nothing. 20 seconds, that's the magic number. It's the minimum time, scientifically proven, that you need for soap and friction to actually kick those microbes off your skin. So seriously, don't cheat the clock. Okay, let's walk through the whole 6-step process. Every single step here is vital, but I really want you to focus on number 5, drying your hands. Why? Because damp hands are basically a magnet for bacteria. So drying them all the way isn't just a friendly suggestion, it's a critical final step.
All right, but what about hand sanitizer, right?
Well, think of it like a temporary patch, not a permanent fix. It's okay in a pinch, when you can't get to a sink, but it doesn't get rid of actual dirt or grime. It is never, ever a substitute for a good old-fashioned scrub with soap and water. That's the only way to really get that full reset. All right, so our hands are covered. Now let's talk about the rest of the gear, your personal protective equipment, or PPE. I want you to think of this stuff as your daily armor. It's what protects you and the product from contamination. And this right here is so important. A lot of people see gloves and they just automatically think clean. That is a really dangerous assumption. A dirty glove is just a contaminated surface that you happen to be wearing. It gives you this false sense of security, all while you're spreading germs literally everywhere you touch. This chart lays it all out, nice and simple. Here's the key takeaway. Treat your gloves like single-use tools for very specific jobs. You absolutely have to change them between strains or the second they get torn or dirty. And whatever you do, don't touch your phone or your face with those gloves on and then go back to work. I mean, that just defeats the whole purpose, right? Okay, get this. This is a direct quote from a real customer complaint that was in the source material. And wow, does it perfectly capture the problem of scent contamination. See those amazing aromatic terpenes in cannabis? They're super sensitive. They're like little sponges that will just soak up any strong smell around them. And that is exactly why containment policies are so strict. A stray hair? That's a classic physical contaminant. So hairnets, beard covers, totally mandatory. And any of those personal fragrances, perfume, cologne, even a scented lotion, they're completely forbidden in production areas. Why? Because they will absolutely ruin the product's natural smell and taste. Next up, your clothes. They are another major highway for contamination. Think about fabrics like fleece or that fuzzy Sherpa stuff. They are notorious for shedding tiny little fibers that can end up right in the final product. And that's exactly why companies provide smocks or scrubs made from materials that just don't shed. It's the industry standard for a reason.
Okay, so we've armored up our bodies. Now it's time to defend the work zone itself. Keeping your environment clean is every bit as important as keeping yourself clean. And the rules for the work zone, they're super simple and absolutely zero tolerance. Nothing goes into your mouth, period. No food, no drinks, no gum, no candy. Crumbs, spills, even tiny saliva particles, they're all serious contamination risks. And this simple policy, it prevents them all. What this all comes down to is creating a clean boundary, a clear line. Your breaks have to happen in a totally separate, designated area. And before you even think about coming back into the work zone, you've got to go through the whole protocol again. Wash your hands, put on fresh gloves. This is what stops anything from your break, lunch crumbs, whatever, from ever making it into the clean production environment.
So, we've covered the rules, we've covered the gear, we've covered the environment. But you know what? All of it, every single bit, comes down to one final, absolutely critical element: you. And this really gets to the heart of it all. There isn't some quality control person looking over your shoulder all day. When you're the one handling the product, you are quality control. You are the final guardian standing between a perfectly clean product and a contaminated one. So that's the question we're going to leave you with. Every single time you wash your hands or change your gloves or put on that hairnet, you're making a choice. Every action you take all day long determines the answer to this question. Are you the guardian, protecting the product's integrity, or are you the biggest risk it faces? The choice is always yours.